Don't look
How's
at
it
me.
going? How's it going, everybody? Episode 3, Casual Pros Podcast. I'm Jeff Easterling, joined by Rukari Austin. We're just a couple of guys that,
We're just a couple of
just,
wild
that's
and
pretty much
crazy
it.
guys.
we work in the game industry in various capacities. But yeah, we're just friends for a long time, and we like sharing stories with each other and with other people. And we kind of actually talked recently, I think in the last episode, the storytelling kind of underpins a lot of what we do, even professionally. Mm-hmm. But that's because it underpins most of what we do personally as well. I feel like a lot of the conversations that we have with mutual friends and stuff like that it's a lot of us telling stories, one or the other. When I think of a lot of like the parties and get-togethers that we have either thrown and facilitated or attended, it ends up turning into like
Facilitation.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
No,
it ends up.
It's a storytelling.
It is a storytelling, experience for sure. We talked on the last episode about you kind of talked about thinking like moments where you felt like you kind of made it in this new adventure, like in the gaming industry and in media and stuff like that. But you also made a mention that
fun stories that brought us
stories,
here.
Yeah, specifically
fun stories on camera.
On camera, there have been plenty.
And welcome to the theme of episode 3: fun
Yes.
stories on camera. So I'm curious. Actually, before we touch on that, we talked about me presenting at E3 and knowing I made it. The first story I want to hear from you is when you knew you made it.
It depends.
And more so on camera.
When
You knew they were going to let you continually get away with being on camera. Because we still think that what we do is a farce.
I don't know. I mean, there are different elements. I remember hosting and co-hosting live streams for Halo and having certain things and having certain moments that were made into GIFs that then got used a whole bunch for years after. That's like where you're like, okay, well, I guess this is
That's it.
this is catching on.
Yeah.
And then doing things like being a part of and helping host some of our like live launch shows.
I was like, I know you're talking Halo Wars 2.
Yes.
I know that's where
Halo
you're
Wars 2 specifically with myself, Brian Gerard, the community director at 343, Major Nelson, so Larry Erb at Xbox Live's Major Nelson. And make sure we get on the brand. And then Kate Yeager as well. I remember the 4 of us there kind of introing that and all the pomp and circumstance behind us. And it was filmed at our studio for the launch of Halo Wars 2. We combined it with our actual studio launch party for the game. You just have all the lights and the cameras and the teleprompters and everything and doing the read-throughs ahead of time, just kind of like going over everything and looking over it, and working with people that I've respected and admired for such a long time. Guys like Brian and Major Nelson specifically, just because from an industry standpoint, and then also having watched, Kate do a ton of stuff and worked with her as well, consummate professional. And like, it's one of those moments, especially when you're doing something and like somebody will stop and a director will be like, actually, Jeff, will you take that line? Will you do this? And can you do a thing like that? And it's just like, okay.
Whatever you want.
And
I swear I can read good.
And I remember for Halo 5's launch, they had me go down and be part of a group that filmed a round table with Nathan Fillion.
LA.
Yeah, in LA.
Oh,
and so
right.
we did that for like just talking about kind of Halo storytelling in general, but it was part of the Halo 5 launch. And I remember like kind of watching that back and like that was like, oh my gosh, like this is a feeling. And even actually the Halo 5 launch, that live show is a combination of pre-packaged things and live elements. Mm-hmm. And when you have people like Blair Herder and Jessica Chobot, again, like folks that we've watched on IGN and other things like that, and they're coming in and viewing you as like a colleague, and
because
like,
you never think you're doing what they're doing.
I know
they do this. You just happen to be lucky enough to be with them.
It's crazy. I remember filming some stuff for Halo 5 Live the day before, and then we're going to be doing it like that night. And so we did stuff. So I filmed packages for our big live show, which is like ended up being like 7 hours long or something like that.
Golly.
And then had to run to the airport, jump on a plane, and get to LA because I was helping run our Century City Microsoft Store launch for the game. And so I was hosting a panel with the voice actors there, and then they were doing like live throws over to us. So I think at a couple different points, I was in parts of the show that was taking place in Seattle, but then we would throw to LA,
to you,
and I was
and
there as well.
All right, Jeff. Well, thank you much. I've had a great time up here in Seattle. How's it going down there in LA, Jeff?
Which
thanks,
is
Jeff.
usually, and mighty handsome you're looking.
Have you lost weight?
Have you lost weight? No, the answer's no. But yeah, like so moments like that, I think are definitely. I don't know if I ever feel like I've made it, but those are like moments where it feels close, especially when you talk about like on camera. Like Outpost Discovery was another one. But we just recently did a 5-city live Halo experience tour, and I did a bunch of stuff like up on live stage that we did and video recording for panels and signings and stuff like that. Like it's definitely moments like that where I remember going and attending things like that, whether it be for Halo or sports or going to a sports team's fan fest or something like that.
Yep.
And then when you have people waiting in line, I remember they had me and somebody scheduled. I want to say it was myself, and there was another author too that was scheduled for like a signing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man. I'm like, nobody's going to be here. And we go to walk towards the room, and there's a queue line. And I'm like, why are people waiting? Like, but like...
The self-harm is real.
Like Bravo and Andy Dudinsky, he and I did one, and they had to like cap the line. Like I did another one with Cassandra Rose Clark, another one of our like partner authors and stuff. And it was like amazing. And to me, I still look at that, and I'm like, wow, what a testament to Halo. You know, that like, because I do think that's what it is. It's people want to go. We
just happen to be riding this wave.
Yes. Yeah. It's like people are there for Halo, and I'm like super honored and blessed to be part of that. Just a little tiny kind of like part. But it is funny when you watch like somebody, like a lot of times people will respond. I've had like people respond to tweets of mine with GIFs of me, which is bizarre.
I don't know how I'd feel about that.
Yeah. That's weird. I have a folder of them because it's really funny. I have a folder of them because it keeps me humble. Keeps me real humble. And it reminds me like, oh, be careful of like what you say. And be careful of like, it's the great power, great responsibility Spider-Man conundrum, because it's awesome to have like a platform and to be able to do this. But now all of a sudden, like, oh man, a little question that I answer in a Halo chat is now going to get printed in gaming form.
Microsoft employee lashes out at prominent Halo community member, and that was me.
That's right.
For telling a friend of mine whose phone number I have to cut the shit. Please, clearly this cut me deeply. But yes, I totally understand what it means to have things.
I forgot about that.
I have not.
Yeah. But, funny moments on camera, there's a ton. What about you? What about, like, you think of...
I mean, there's just interesting stories all around,
yeah.
right? And
you have like a friggin' litany in just recent memory, just the past, 18 to 24 months.
Yeah.
The amount of things that you have done with like celebrity, like the A-list kind of like celebrity train. Again, stuff that I just absolutely love watching because I'm like, yes. It's like watching you do it is like watching a piece of me do it. I'm like, yes, it's awesome. But
ask this.
And I also know that if it's anything like some of my experiences, some of the funniest things are the stuff that never make it on the camera. Oh, and some of the funnier moments and
like I beat Usain Bolt in a race. I'm just going to throw that out there. Oh. He didn't know we were racing, but that has nothing to do with it. I told him after the fact.
Yeah. By the way, we were racing. I won.
Yeah. This is absolutely the case. I don't know. It's been wild. Is that how you describe it? I guess I should go back to the beginning of that bit, and this all makes sense in the stories, I promise. But I got a random ping Wednesday afternoon.
What's a ping?
Sir, I think you know the answer to that. A ping is Microsoft lingo. That is a chat message.
Yes.
If you will, a chat message.
Like a DM.
And that chat message said, hey, would you like to help us with a live stream on Sunday? That's literally the chat message. No, the hell I would not. Sunday? No, you missed me with that. I'm not helping you on Sunday. Why? What? That's not how you respond in the corporate world. So I said, what are the details of said live stream? I was like, I'm not going to Redmond for a live stream on Sunday. Sir, please. And he said, oh, well, it's down in L.A.
You're like, you're right. You're not going to Redmond.
Well, I didn't say any of that. All I said was, hey, I would love the details. So then I could say no. Can't say no until I know the details. And he said, yeah, it's down in L.A., with the cast of the Fast and the Furious talking about whatever, just, a live stream of the cast of the Fast and the Furious down in L.A. Sunday from da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I said, lead with that because I almost ignored the message. And in my head, I was like, well, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. And I said, all right, I'll do it on one condition. I need to be able to bring my mom because this will never happen again. That was my mindset. You talk about keeping yourself humble. Yeah. Mine was, this is a gift.
Yeah.
Give me an inch. I'm going to take a mile right here.
Yep.
Thinking it'll never happen again. Because my mom, it was easy enough. Seattle to L.A., it's not an expensive flight.
Yeah.
It can be cheap.
Yep.
We had enough miles where I was like, she would come. I will gladly share my hotel room. Like, what? Cast of the Fast and the Furious?
Yeah.
She comes down, we get there, and we do a 7-hour Reach Out Worldwide Game for Paul charity live stream, which I had no idea it would be 7 hours, but thankfully my upbringing in the black church has had me prepped to stay far later than I ever expected. But we did that live stream.
It better be a potluck.
And the funny thing is, everybody kept coming to me like, man, wow, you did so great. And that was my thought. I was like, homie, I went to black church. Like, this is easy. I could do this. And I'm asking others for money. Sure, yeah, that's black church. Oh, yes, we need to take care of the building fund. So we did that. And Vin Diesel was there. Cody Walker, who's like Paul Walker's brother. Mm-hmm. I saw Jordana Brewster. I saw Michelle Rodriguez. And I'm just sitting here geeking out because I love that franchise. As over the top as it is, like I know the first movie by heart. So I'm sitting there losing my mind.
That's crazy.
Absolutely losing my mind. And I do this, and Vin comes in, and everybody's taking photos of him and whatnot. And I remember just talking to him, and he was just super chill. Like, you could tell he wasn't worried about which bill he was going to pay that week.
Yeah.
Like, nothing mattered. He was just, this is great. We love doing this. It's great effort. And he actually got to meet my mom and all that. He was excited because it was a family affair. So his kids were there. His Paul and Cody's parents were there. His parents were there.
That's awesome.
Like, it was this. So I was super happy I brought my mom.
Yeah.
Long story short.
All part of the plan.
Run into this guy, Kumar. And Kumar's like, yeah, hey, we're the ones that put it on. You've done phenomenal. I'm like, okay, thank you. Gas me up. I helped you out. I'm sure. You're welcome. You're welcome. He's like, yeah, if we ever have any more of these.
Short notice kind of thing, yeah.
If we ever have any more of these, would you be down to help? I was like, yeah, sure. Reach out to me anytime. Nobody's coming back to ask me to do more of these things. Kid you not, the second I get back to my desk at home, Nathan comes up to me, Nathan Rose. He's like, hey, great job in L.A. Can you help us out in Albuquerque, New Mexico next week? I'm like, yes. Sucker. Yeah, I'll help.
Got him.
And he leaves, and he pops back halfway in the door. He's like, hey, you're not afraid of heights, are you? Why? Okay, no, great. We got you. And then that one was the
again, lead with this.
Yeah, the International Hot Air Balloon Festival in Albuquerque, and they had made a super Lucky's Tale hot air balloon, and we were going for a Guinness World Record for the highest altitude gameplay live stream, and I was the host. Just that, I still can't. How do you explain this to people? I mean, I guess I'm doing it right now.
I remember one such trip took you to Tampa, where I'm from.
But you were in Seattle.
And I'm in Seattle.
You were so bad.
And we had other plans. This is probably a different episode. We had other plans to go to a Bucks game actually, which wasn't able to work out, unfortunately. So it ends up that the first time you go to that stadium is not even for a football game. It's for an Xbox related thing.
Jeff is right now.
I'm just upset I wasn't there.
Yeah,
to get a Cuban sandwich.
That when we shot a guy out of a cannon, Dave the Bullet Smith.
Yeah,
that's his name. Shot him out of a cannon to set another Guinness World Record. That was for the Sea of Thieves launch. That was just right before Sea of Thieves launched. First of all, I had no idea that there are only like 5 human launch cannons in the world, and 5 different families own them, and their secrets are heavily guarded as to how it works. Because we had them equipped with a GoPro,
it's like the Evel Knievel style.
Yes.
Like okay.
And we had him equipped with a GoPro, and before we could see the footage to use, his team had to go.
They had to go and scrub it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
because
crazy.
We were not allowed to see inside the cannon.
Yeah.
So we've shot somebody out of a cannon. I got up 800, 900, maybe 1,000 feet in the air in a hot air balloon playing Super Lucky's Tale. The Usain Bolt story. We were at his house filming a segment, and it was game 3 or 4 of the NBA playoffs when LeBron was on the Cavs and they were playing the Pacers, and LeBron hit a game winner. He hit 2 that series, but it was his first game winner. And everybody was yelling to us to score as we were like discussing stuff that we were going to do and talk about and whatnot. And they're like, hey, like 10 seconds left. They're about to inbound it. Come in here. And I was like, but he didn't hear. I was like, hey, let's race. But I was closer to the kitchen than the TV. So I took like 2 steps. I was like, oh, I beat you, didn't I? Yeah. Started stretching afterwards. And yeah, I mean, he was cool as hell. And I guess while I get into these stories, the coolest one, I don't know how to explain this one either, is being asked to go to South Africa to interview and play with Vin Diesel again. And that was just because he was filming a movie.
Yeah.
He's filming a movie down there. I got to fly out there. But when I walked in, somebody told him, but he said, Xbox. Like he threw his hands up and he said, Rukari, where's mom? And I was like, first of all, you knew my name. Second of all, you remembered my mom. And whether that's my mom or me, I didn't care. I was like, that's cool as hell.
Yep.
That was probably out of all the celebrity events I ever did, the coolest part was having him say, where's mom?
That's
I said, my mom's not here, but my niece has been doing Peace Corps work in South Africa, and she happened to be in Cape Town today. Mind you, my niece is from Seattle. Had
crazy.
Been a year plus living in the eastern side of South Africa. I can't remember the name of the small town, village, township, if you will. And I messaged her on Facebook and said, hey, what do you got going on next week? Like, if I ever came to Africa, could you visit? Oh, yeah, I would love to, but I'll be in Cape Town. I was like, that's funny. So will I. What? Like, you're just telling me this now? I was like, I just booked my ticket yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, walked in. So there's photos of like my mom and Vin, my niece and Vin. And I'm like, at some point I got to reach out to them. Like, hey, if y'all ever do, the Reach Out Worldwide stuff again, I don't want to be paid. I just want to go. Like now I feel like I'm in, not like their family, but it's such a fun connection. But over the last 2 years, I would say it's been 25, 30, maybe more events, maybe 40 with names like.
You bring up, and I think it's important to say, like, the reason why we talk about this is not in like to list off like achievements as like, oh, look at what we've done or look at this. It's actually to kind of try to like, inspire folks that to literally say like anybody can do this. And if you look at things that we do, like whether it's on screen or in a writing or whatever, or other similar people, like it's really all just different examples of humanity who have really similar levels of excitement and passions and things like that. And if it's something that you want to do, like I would just always encourage you to reach out and to do it. And the other reason I like telling stories like this is that like humanizes again the process. It's reminding.
Wait till I tell you the process, because you see celebrities, but actually making that happen.
Yeah, but again, you when you talk about like bringing their families there, and it's really easy, I think, to no matter what the industry is, whether it be entertainment, like in film, sports is the exact same way. In games, when you see people who are either figureheads or prominent or whatever, like it's easy to see them just like, in that role and assume that it is just, oh, well, it's always like this.
Yeah.
But like everybody has like family members and likes and dislikes and likes to have fun and likes to like, just BS around. And
that's my favorite thing about athletes.
Yeah.
And why you should never look up to athletes as people unless you really know who they are as people. Because I've grown up around a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I realize that they're kids.
Yeah.
They are kids that are getting paid a ridiculous amount of money and who just make the same mistakes that we make publicly.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely
really it. They are people.
Yep.
Absolute people. Same goes with celebrities or child actors or any of the same. But
yeah.
I think that's why I've done so well and had so much fun with these things is because I've been fortunate enough to understand that they're just people.
Mm-hmm.
The old, what's the, you got to put on your pants one leg at a time
Yeah.
adage? Like
People's is people's.
That's just really it. But Jeff, it's been a wild ride. And I don't think it has ended because I'm still kind of doing that.
Yeah.
But it's one that I expect to end every time I do one.
You know what's interesting is, like, trying to, when you think about, like, people talk about, like, mortality or, the idea of, like, like where you're living your life. But even, like, certain eras of your life kind of have a, like, oh, I did this for this amount of time. And I think about that, too. It's like, how long are we able to do the particular thing that we do? And I try to remind myself that, like, I remember thinking back on certain instances, like working at the Science Center in the museum. Like, I was on the team that helped NASA write the curriculum for the International Space Station and presented in front of like 5,000 people when the space shuttle returned to launch, and like doing things actually sometimes with celebrities and stuff like that there. And I remember like, man, it's not getting any better than this. It's the equivalent of playing Turok on your N64 and be like, the graphics will never get better than this, And then like, there's always an Annie that gets up, and it kind of like makes me excited because of like, man, when I think about like how much fun I have doing what I do now, it's like, what does the next chapter hold? Mm-hmm. Even if that next chapter is still doing something similar, like even in my like Halo chapter, there have been distinct sections just within that. Like, well, what does the next one kind of hold for that, and getting to do things with other teams or with the platform or stuff like that, or if it's something totally different entirely, whatever the good Lord kind of has in the plan for that. I like to try to think of it in an eager type way.
That's what scares the hell out of me right now, is understanding the chapters without a job, but still with a job.
Yeah.
And not
the life of a mercenary.
Yeah, golly, these chapters are wild.
Yeah.
Because I never would have. If you asked me what I was going to be when I grow up, I'm like, oh, I'm going to play sports, which almost happened. I very much played sports in college, and then I just didn't want to take care of my stuff in classes, whatever.
Yeah.
And then after I got out, no idea. And all of a sudden stumbled into Microsoft. And I got there, and I was like, oh, I'm not leaving this place.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, you're right. You're not leaving, but we'll be having you leave. Nothing bad, but just the way the cookie crumbles and budgets work. So I'm in that weird chapter right now where I work less, but still do the same things that I was doing.
Yeah.
I just do the events now. Like in my last year of work, or when I was doing all that crazy travel and stuff, my main goal at work was to say, no. This is just something I'm helping out with. But my real job is this, and here's my reporting and stuff. When in reality, had I known what would come to be, I should have been saying, yeah, this is my job. Y'all going to have to pay me for it soon, but this is my job.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I'm in that chapter right now of, what do I do? Am I on-screen talent? Oh, that's scary, because that's where we talk about social and being narcissistic. And it's one thing when
building
we make
a personal brand. Oh. It's very different than representing another brand.
Yeah.
Like representing something. Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think it's funny. It literally describes our struggle even with doing something like this. I think it's one of the reasons, like, we've talked about this in some sort of weird nebulous fashion for literally years.
Yeah.
And it always comes down to like, oh, but what would we talk about? We have a lot to talk about, but what would we? Would anybody listen? Does it matter if it?
Not even would anybody listen? Like, why would people?
Or why
would
people?
Yeah,
that's a better way to. Yeah,
why
a better
would
way
they
to
want to listen to us? Nobody wants to hear. always thought of Twitter as walking into a room full of people and saying, whatever the hell it is that's on your mind.
Look at me.
Yeah, look at me. This is the thing that I want you all to know about.
But it's funny, too. Like, I think of, there's a ton of other people where I'm like, I would totally just listen to you talk about, like, your life and your profession.
This is true.
And your adventures and how you got there. Like, you know, it's the equivalent of, it's like watching the movie, but then you really just can't wait to watch the behind the scenes.
Oh, the behind-the-scenes stuff is fun.
Like,
and I love telling that story.
The director's cut.
But the difference is I have to be prompted to tell those stories.
Yeah.
It's one thing to say somebody's having a conversation about this, and you're like, oh, I've got a unique situation that was like that.
Yeah.
It's another thing to say, I'm going to tell you about my unique situations, and you're going to like them.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
That's
why we have a podcast.
Anybody listening, that it's their fault for clicking play. That's our you brought this on yourself.
You brought this on yourself. Well, hopefully it's informative and fun, and
it's at least informal.
Well, that's
at the very least.
All right.
Thank
so
goodness.
After working at something so buttoned up as Xbox or Microsoft, or just doing adulting in life, it's fun to do this because we don't often get to.
Yeah, that's true.
One thing that we would impress upon you is that what we say is not. And this isn't the coverall of not representative of other brands, but this is us just up here.
Yeah.
Being Jeff and Rukari, not Grim and Rikizzle or whatever we would call ourselves at work.
Yeah. Or what other people call us.
Yeah, that's a better fit. Yeah, what other people call us.
Because even at work, not even at just like gaming events, you know, like I get called a handle or a gamer tag more than I get called like, you know, a human name, definitely at events. And even at work, there are still people. That's all they call me.
They call you Grim, huh?
Yeah.
So what's fun is for me is with Rikizzle. I don't know if it doesn't roll off the tongue that well.
Maybe.
It's just easier to say Rukari.
Yeah.
So technically, Rukari came a persona. Like whenever I did Inside Xbox, I was never Major Nelson or AC Bongos. Rukari. It was just easy. Rukari. So luckily I haven't had.
It's also a unique name, which helps.
Yeah, that helps a lot. That very much helps a lot.
It's true.
But yeah, just know that, I guess, for the continuation of this podcast, show, whatever we want to call it, the stuff and the content that we discuss will be very lax and informal, and oftentimes may not touch on gaming.
Sure.
But it will bleed back into it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the perfect representation of that is something that I think we want to get into next episode, and that's us.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Why the hell are y'all listening to us?
Yeah, exactly.
In order to know that, you need to know us.
Yeah, I think so. I think even just talking about, like, our friendship and evolution, and then we should, you know, eventually just kind of talk to each other and see what likes and dislikes. See if we have anything in common with folks listening out there. I think that's always the neat thing, too, when I'm listening to people talk, is to hear, like, those little, you know, the little nuggets of, like, oh, well, I was from here. Wait, I'm from there. Or like, like this team, you know, or like, oh, wait, that was my favorite team as well. Or this is my dream car, that, you know, things like that. So if you continue, if you're still listening, first of all, congratulations.
You've made it.
You've made it. But if you want to continue on, then that's the current plan.
Episode 4.
Yeah, we just want to.
Jeff and Rukari met.
That's true. Yeah,
we'll be off the from fan to the man bit. And we'll be
but
on.
What's funny is that there will still be
the
undertones are still games industry, life in general. But I'm looking forward to it. Hope you hang around and stick around and listen. Otherwise, that'll do it for this episode. For Rukari, I'm Jeff, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.